You want to talk about China?
Yeah, I got a couple of things here.
All right. Well, welcome back to Rockstar 101. His name is Brandon. He's the DJ.
His name is Shim. He's the rock star. He started without me being ready. I thought we were talking.
Is class in session?
Hey, class is now in session.
There's the radio voice that I love.
Prepared for it, yeah. Because we're sitting. Hey, which radio voice? Because there's a lot of different radio voices.
It just goes down in your throat a little bit, deeper down. His name is Shim. He's the rock star.
His name is Shim. He is the rock star. Yes. You can get a little more top 40. Hey, it's Shim Moore coming at you with his brand new hit.
Don't do that.
You don't like it?
Oh, no.
You know what that's called? Do you know what that's called?
What is that called?
It's called puking.
That's called puking? Puking.
It's called... Yeah, hey, when you talk like this, like when you hear, like, you know, like that strip club DJ, hey, coming up on the main stage, crystal chandelier. Remember, fellas, if you ain't tipping, they ain't stripping.
Is that like real term? Is that a real term?
Oh, yeah.
So you're telling me, okay, so this is interesting for Rockstar 101, for anyone who's interested in getting into DJing or who's got a podcast or who's doing a live stream. You can puke on your stream. Is it a technical professional term? Like, for example, if you came in and you got a job, could the program director say, hey, man, I listened to your show, sound good. Throw a little more puke in there when you're talking.
I don't know if that's how they would use it, because generally it's considered a bad thing.
Oh,
it's not. I mean, it used to be something that was good. Like in, I guess, the 80s, you know, top 40. Hey, it's coming. We're coming at number 5 right now. Like that.
So off-putting.
Used to be something people would want. Although there was an interesting story. There was a guy who went through the same broadcasting program I did, and he was working for, I believe it was Live 105 in San Francisco. It was a pretty big radio station. It was kind of a big deal. Like when you graduated from this radio broadcasting school and you went on to like a bigger market, they touted that. Like when I made it to Miami, they did a whole like write-up on me for the school paper to be like, hey, this is somebody who was successful at doing this thing that we came to school for. And he would always reach out to our advisor, and, you know, about some advice or, you know, career stuff in general. And one of the times there was a new program director, and he was struggling because the new program director wanted him to puke more, like get a little more of that. And this guy's name was Jared, really great dude who has done multiple formats, like from rock to, you know, other things. And he just wasn't comfortable with it. And that's when I think the advisor told him, hey, this is one of those career moments where you're going to have to make the decision. Do you want to stick around and do what the boss says, or do you start looking elsewhere? Because you kind of it's got to be one or the other, you know? And now you know what puking is.
Well, what did he do?
In that moment, I don't know. I don't know what he did in that moment. I do know that he ended up back in Portland. Working. Actually, I ended up working with him for a little bit. He was a super cool guy. When I was back in Portland back in 2013, 2015, he was working for like a heritage station. It's called Kink FM. And it's like one of the big stations across the country for that format. So,
it's kind of a good that's a good example of the fact that, like, if you hate your job, you hate your life, right? You really do. If you hate your job, and you can never turn it into a career. If you hate your job, so people started a job with the plan to turn it into a career. What the fuck are you looking at?
My dog.
Should we stop so that you can
No,
deal with this?
you're fine. Keep talking. I'm gonna make sure she's not eating poop.
Fucking hell. So
okay, go ahead.
No, but if you hate your job, you'll never turn it into a career, right? And if you hate your job, you hate your life. And so I remember just doing a thing with Jamie a few days ago where he was talking about.
How's Jamie doing?
Oh, he's the best. He's awesome. His Twitch stream is blowing the fuck up. Like he's looping and playing drums and then bass and then keys and then singing stuff and multi-track. He's doing dope shit. Point being, he was talking to me about how he's doing covers right now to get his audience up. I'm doing covers as well, partly to get my audience up, partly because I've been looking for an excuse to do covers again, because I started out doing covers. I love singing other people's songs as long as they're the songs that I get to pick. If it's like, hey, sing Piano Man, that's not what I do. And if I had to do it, if it was
you wouldn't play Piano Man?
I'd play Piano Man a few times. I would. But I know for a fact that guys who do covers, especially piano guys, Just Joe from Syracuse. Just Joe Syracuse on Twitch, go and follow him. he was the first to tell me, like, dude, I'm so sick of playing that fucking song. Like, there's a million
Like
great songs out there.
It's the go-to.
Yeah. It's like, if you're a guitar singer, people ask for The Rooster, or they ask for Sweet Home Alabama, or they ask for Freebird. And it's like, how many fucking times is a cover artist playing Freebird? Yeah. I'm doing covers on my Twitch stream right now because I pick songs that I fucking love singing, and I find new ways to do it in versions. Jamie was saying he used to play in covers bands all the time. It was his bread and butter. And it got to the point where he would drink before he went on stage, to the point where that was how he would have a good time, because it was so fucking boring and demoralizing. By the time he got to 3 or 4 years, he was like, I can't play these fucking songs anymore. Like, I can play my songs all day, every day, because they're my songs, right? When you're playing someone else's songs, you're like, this is now a job. This is a job. And it turns into something that you don't like. I can imagine if you were told, and you're talking about your voice, how you speak. You've gone to school for this. You want to do this. You grew up listening to your Howard Sterns or your Brandons or your whoever your thing is. And you're like, I love that guy. I want to do that thing. And they have their voice that they choose. And it's their voice. It's not some pukey, hey, fucking voice. And then some guy comes up to you and says, dance. You do what I say and fucking change your voice. Now you're going to work every day. And you aren't you anymore. You spent all this time being you, figuring out how do I take what I have to offer and translate it into something of value so that I can have a career instead of a job. And then this motherfucker says one thing and turns your career into a job that you will soon hate, because every time you read the weather, you got to talk like this. And you're like,
do you know
life.
what it is?
What is it?
It's the pig vomit WNBC moment from Howard Stern's Private Parts.
Exactly.
When you have Paul Giamatti sitting there telling him WNBC. Have I told you that I think I've mentioned I had that moment.
Tell me. I love that moment in that film.
Oh my God. I even as I was in this moment, I'm like, holy shit, I'm living Private Parts right now.
Yeah.
Like, I think like this is that moment.
Yeah.
So when I was in Florida, the whole point of moving there was to work for a rock station. It lasted about 5 years. Unfortunately, they flipped it, and they flipped it to an easy listening station.
Right.
I got to keep my job. The rest of the staff, outside of maybe 2 other people, they all got let go because I fortunately was able to do other things. And the main job I did was production director, meaning I write and produce the commercials. I do all the imaging. That's all the stuff you hear in between the songs. So I got to keep my job. And then we had this program director there, and he pulls me into his office right after the format flip. And it was Easy 93.1 was the name of the station. And he's trying to school me on how I need to say the station. He goes, look, we're an easy listening station.
Oh, Jesus.
We need it so that it's not abrasive. And which was really weird because for me, obviously, I'm a rock guy. I came from like be as loud as possible. And the day that I knew the change was truly taking full effect was when I stopped putting in erectile dysfunction commercials and putting in menopause commercials. Like that's when you knew we went from the rock station to an easy listening station.
That's a good barometer.
So he's like, look, and we need to make sure that we're not abrasive. There's a lot of people who are listening to us at their works and their jobs, and we need to make sure that we're taking our time in our delivery. And you're saying it too fast. You need to pause. It's easy. 93.1. And he's like, oh, dude, I'm telling you, man. He's like, hey, did you hear the pause? Did you hear the pause?
Did he say this?
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, and I go, easy, 93.1, and he's like, no, easy, 93.1.
Oh my God!
So the asshole in me decided, you know what? I hear what he's doing, but I'm gonna Howard Stern him, and I'm just gonna fuck with him. So I'm not gonna pause as long as I could easily have been out of there in one try and just been like, easy. 93.1 like that and just kept it to that. But I'm like, he's going to pull me into his office to do this. I'm going to fuck with him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, easy, 93.1. And like I'm pausing in the wrong spots and I could see him. And he's normally a pretty, at least around me, he was a pretty calm guy. But you could see it in his eyes. Like, how is he not getting this? How is he not getting this?
And he didn't know you were fucking with him?
I don't know, man. I mean, he may have.
Can you give me some other options of how you said it?
I'm trying to remember. I did one that was a little pukey. I went easy, 93.1, like that, and he's like, no, and it's like, okay, easy, 93.1, and like I'd stutter it a little bit, and it just. No, because he was so adamant. You have to have that pause between the easy and 93.1. Yeah. Now, look, I'm not going to compare this guy to Pig Vomit from Howard Stern. Like,
here's the thing.
He was decent.
It reminds me of that thing in The Simpsons when he's like Oprah, Opro, Opie. Do you remember that one? Right? It's like that.
Do you remember that? It's the one with hell, we play this on the morning show. Actually, I produced something with this when they're speaking to Rainier Wolfcastle and they're making him Radioactive Man. And the tagline is up and atom as an ATOM.
Yeah. I know.
Up and at them. Yeah. Up and atom. Up and at them, and he's like yelling it back at him constantly. Yeah.
Up and at them.
So I'm not going to compare this program director. I'm not, and I won't call him out by name either. No, I will. He's Gary Williams. He was a decent enough boss.
He's a nice guy. Look. Here's the thing. He's doing his job, and I was about to say that is his job, and he has a responsibility to his listeners, and his listeners. And it makes a difference to it. And he's being specific, and specificity is people doing their jobs at the high level. It just wasn't your jam.
No, and that's the thing is I even have another story that we'll get to here in just a minute on this, because this is bringing back a ton of memories with this easy 93.1 thing. And so ultimately what happened was I said it right a few times and I got out of there. But then what happened later on down the line, I got a script from a salesperson, and it was, join easy 93.1 out here, blah, 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 like for this thing. So I did, but one of the issues you frequently run into as a production director at a radio station, you get a script that is way longer than it's supposed to be. If it's supposed to fit in 30 seconds, chances are it's like 40.
Right.
If it's supposed to be a minute, chances are it's a minute 20.
And that stuff
matters.
Because
the salesperson,
And that stuff matters. That stuff is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they've only paid for 30 seconds, right?
Well, I'll get to that in just a minute, because the salesperson's trying to cram as much information in as they can. And I kept trying to stress this to them. And if there's any other production directors out there, I can't remember the article, but it was a study that was done, I believe, Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh, one of those colleges. And they read stuff to people at different speeds. And when you sped it up, they retained less information.
Right.
So if you're cramming all this stuff in, and we're going to talk this fast, it's going to be over here, and this is the location, we're going to be here in this time, and we're going to be giving this stuff away, and you need to show up now. People aren't picking up on that.
Yeah.
Because their brain's not retaining it. To slow it down and take out information is far better than trying to cram so much stuff in there.
Yeah.
And they never understand this, and it's never going to change.
Right.
So as I get this script in, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's no way I can fit all of this in with the pause between easy and 90.1.
I love the way you brought it back around like an Eddie Murphy sketch. Go.
Oh, shit. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, now I can do one of two things. I can either read it faster and get shit from Gary, or I can edit the script. And most of the salespeople knew, like, hey, Brandon knows what he's doing. He can go ahead and edit the script.
Right.
So I did. I still got shit for it. Like, I edited the script to the point where I could get that easy 93.1 in there. I did that. I fucking did that. But I took out a couple of things. Like the phone number was in there twice. You didn't need it in there twice. And, there was some extra giveaway stuff that didn't need to be in there. So I edited the script. And I get a phone call from Gary. And he's like, hey, so-and-so. And this is right after the flip. So I didn't normally deal with this sales staff directly sometimes. So they came to me and they were like, and he's like, look, we need to have that stuff in the script. That's what the client wants. So you just need to read it so that it fits. And the first words out of my mouth were, there's not going to be a pause, Gary. And he's like, what? And I go, I can't read it at that speed. I can't. Like, the whole point that he stressed to me was that we needed to read things slower because we're a non-abrasive station.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. I'm like, and it was funny because you basically watched him kind of buckle and fold to the sales staff. because it's his station, it's his baby. He's the program director, and he's been very successful with it. I mean, that thing's been around for 10 years, and it still kicks ass.
Yeah.
But it was funny watching him just get cut at the knees by the sales staff, where it's like, no, we need to do this, which now takes me directly to another story about that station. When we were the rock station, most businesses aren't going to play you. That's just the nature of the format.
Right.
Is that when you're playing Five Finger Death Punch and Godsmack,
unless
and
you're
like
a
that,
tattoo shop or a biker bar or some shit,
exactly. Like it's very isolated for the kinds of places that are going to be playing that format.
Available on YouTube now with a lyric video. Back to Brandon.
There you go. So what happened was when Easy first flipped on the air, a lot of businesses started putting us on. It's a great station, by the way. Like, it's a really fun one to listen to.
Yeah.
But there was a commercial that talked about menstruation, and it talked about menopause. And it apparently got a little bit too graphic. So we got phone calls from the businesses that said, since you guys came on the air, you are what we play in our warehouse or in our showroom. And I think this one directly came from a furniture store. Right. So that's what's playing when you're in looking at the furniture. It's Easy 93.1. I'm sorry. It's Easy 93.1.
Yes.
Playing over the speakers in the showroom.
We have to do that as a skit, by the way. At the end of this episode, I'm going to try different variations of that. So they're playing.
We'll do it with Rockstar 101. You got to pause.
Okay.
So basically, they called up and we got a few complaints, and then that's where we had to make the choice. How much money are we getting from this client? Can we change their spot? Are they okay with it? Is it worth it not being on in this business anymore? Because I mean, that's where those big decisions have to be made. But it was just really interesting that popped up, because I had never run into that at the rock station, because it was a rock station. Nobody cared.
No one cares. Yeah.
However, we have run into that here in El Paso. There was a commercial that we were running at KLAQ, and it wasn't even listeners complaining. It was Buzz, the host of the morning show. It's a commercial. It starts with a lady talk, and it's about. I'm just warning you guys right now here on Rockstar 101. It's going to be gross, because it's talking about bowel movements. And the opening line was, "My number twos don't look like a number two. Is there a number three?" And it's like,
oh my God.
Yeah. And so it's all about having irregular bowel movements, and it was just disgusting. So this was running on all of our stations. We own 3 in El Paso. The other 2 stations, it wasn't a problem, but Buzz didn't want it running, so they pulled it. And
does he have that kind of? He's got that kind of sway. I didn't know he could pull that kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, dude, he's been here for 30 years and dominates the market, man. Okay. I mean, it's
no.
Down.
I would have thought that was more of a Kevin play, because Kevin's the PD, right?
Oh no! If it was to the point where, like, and they were to say, "Hey man, like, they're paying us a crap ton of money. If you're willing to take that out of your paycheck, then that could happen." But this is what the spot. It wasn't making us a ton of money.
Yeah.
Like, there was other ways that we could circumvent that. Like, it wasn't a big deal, because it came from an agency, and then we just told them, give us these other spots, and we'll play more of those. Basically, kind of how it went down. But if it comes down to money, the money is going to win every damn time. Right, which brings up the Easy 93.1 question.
Easy what?
Easy 93.1.
Was that the pause? I got to know. Was that the length of the pause? Like, I'm sure you had it embedded in your brain.
I gotta remember here. Hold on. It was like, so, okay. Coming up later today on Easy 93.1. That was it. Like, that's about how long.
Easy.
Like, it's a significant pause.
It's just, yeah.
Like, it's not it's not a natural.
I can imagine if you were in the room with the guy and he's like, you need to pause between Easy and what is it, 93.1?
Yeah.
Okay, so you go like Easy 93.1. No.
Yeah.
No, the pause is.
Okay, I wasn't that obvious when I was talking.
I would have. Okay, but you'd be like Easy 93.1. No, the pause is too long.
I did.
You did do that?
I did. I did do that, because I'm like, I gotta test the limit and see what he means here, because I know, because the one thing I'll always give Gary credit for is the dude busts his ass. Like, he was there. So when the station flipped, it was maybe November, I think. And that meant the station went from rock to Christmas. And so they put Christmas on through the holiday season. And then they were flipping to the easy listening station, I believe, like 12:01 December 26th. So like it was going to go like that.
Right.
And he put in a ton of work on both of those stations.
Right.
And I know he did his research. There was a station in Tampa, I think it was called The Dove. And that's the one that we were kind of patterning ours off of because we also owned that easy listening station in Tampa. So they gave us their music library. That's what we loaded into the system. And it was kind of listening to them because they were very successful, kind of patterning it around that. So I know he did his research. But, man, in that moment, it was just like, he's like, hold on. No, it's easy. 93.1. And even I think that one was even a little long.
Too
what
fast.
I just did.
You think it was too long?
I thought it might have been a little too long.
Okay.
I don't know. So I did easy. 93.1.
Did you do the head tilt? I bet you did it every
That's how I used to
time.
remember. And that's how I used to remember how to do it because I would go like easy. And then you kind of tilt your head up and you go 93.1.
Did he tell you that or did you make that up?
No, I did that because that's how I was able to
So you go
time it
easy.
properly.
No, so the amount of time it takes you to go look up easy and then go, that's the pause. Like this movement is the pause. Easy.
Yeah.
93.1. That's the time.
That's how I was able. Yeah, that's how I was able to.
That's funny, man.
time it.
It's kind of funny. Like everyone has their little tweaks, right? I've got a thing that everyone used to bring up with me, and they would say, "Shim, when you're screaming or singing stuff, I stick my tongue out. I go la. I do that." And they're like, "Oh, is that like? Why do you do it?" The reason is because when I first started singing, you're doing a sound, you're doing an ah sound, and the difference, and there is a big difference in the whole vocal training thing. There's a difference between ah and right? And you can access higher notes by blending the ah and the to going all the way up, right? And then you can hit the higher notes. But when you're practicing that blend, the trick is to stick your tongue out because it makes you naturally go instead of ah, right? Ah is down here, is up here. So when I was learning how to do it, one of the first singing teachers I had, she said, just stick your tongue out like when a doctor says, can you go ah? And I would go, cool. So I would go la, la, la. So now whenever I hit those high notes.
The tongue just gets out a little bit further every time.
It actually does. So if you hear me go fucking, this is wah, and it's on a nine. This is wah. It's like, it comes out because it's just a nervous reaction. Not a nervous reaction. It's muscle memory, right? And then it wound up being cool because I'm there playing guitar, Rockstar up, and you're like, yeah. And people go, oh, he's sticking his tongue out. He's such a rock star. It's actually just a fucking, it's just such a twitch. But I bet that every time any of the interns are walking past the window back in the day and they'd be like, wait a minute, and they're listening. Because by the way, when you're walking down the halls, the station is constantly playing on the speakers so that people can hear if there's a problem or if anything, whatever's going on the station live so that everyone's kind of got the same vibe. And so if any of the interns are walking through and it's like, wait, he's about to wrap up the news and you go, and they look at the window and you go, and this is Brandon on easy. No.
93.1.
And they'd be like, watch the head tilt. He doesn't even know he's doing it. And I bet you didn't even notice you were doing it all the time.
No, I did actually when I first started. Like I don't think I noticed at the beginning, but then I realized that was the easiest way for me to time it. Like that was the easiest way for me to be consistent with it. Because man, I'm telling you, there was one time, and this is something that program directors, now kind of called brand managers, are supposed to do, is you're branding the station. So you need to make sure that it's the proper thing, the proper message being put out there. And this was an argument that I would get into with Buzz all the damn time, is how, like, you have to be consistent. Like we call, like our podcast is Rockstar 101. We're not going to call it something else. It's not, shooting the shit with Shim and Brandon. It's Rockstar 101. It's not just Rockstar. It's not just 101. It's Rockstar 101. And so when Buzz would produce things for the show, when I started, the whole point was he's been in El Paso for almost 30 years. And then they're going to start broadcasting out to these other markets in West Texas. You need to keep that brand message the same every single time. You need to just almost beat people over the head with it to the point that they remember it. So he would produce things. It would be like, it's Buzz Adams Buzz Adams is back, and now your morning show. And he was calling it something different every time. And I told him, I'm like, when you're doing this stuff, if you want to say that in this piece that you're producing, that's fine. But you always have to have the Buzz Adams morning show somewhere in there. Yeah. And man, I spent so much of my time, and I still do. This is 5 years later.
Right.
I spend so much of my time re-editing stuff that he does or adding things in because he still doesn't put it in there. It's not how his brain works. He's been successful doing what he's doing, but there was a reason that he tried to do a syndicated show before and it didn't quite work out because he wouldn't do these things like this simple branding 101 thing that you need to be able to do is you got to keep it consistent and you got to keep it the same every single time. Otherwise it's going to be a problem. So that's another little tidbit for anybody out there. If you're starting a podcast or if you're doing a Twitch stream or whatever, like with Shim, it's the Hollywood Rebellion every time. And you got to remember in there, because if you go to twitch.tv/Hollywood Rebellion, it's not going to go to Shim's page. It's the Hollywood Rebellion. So that's just
and there is
something
a pause.
That you definitely need to do.
There is a pause.
There is a pause. Where's your pause? Where's your
the Hollywood Rebellion? Make sure you go to twitch.tv/the Hollywood Rebellion. The
was it
Hollywood Rebellion? Because it's a predominantly American audience, I'll say the, because you guys don't say the.
Well, we do, but the is spelled THEE.
Yeah, no, we'll say the Hollywood. Okay. And you know what? I probably really do need to start doing that because I'm going to start doing interviews soon enough. And it'll be like, twitch.tv/the Hollywood Rebellion. And it's really quite simple. It's instead of just like twitch.tv/Hollywood Rebellion, you go twitch.tv/the Hollywood Rebellion. So you just make it part of that first one, twitch.tv/the Hollywood Rebellion. And then people will go like that little and it's funny how that little break in the matrix, it actually makes you go, wait a minute, what did he say? And you've come back in right when they're thinking, what did he say? Did something pause on my Spotify? Nothing's happening for that half a second, and it just makes people pay attention. Twitch.tv/the Hollywood Rebellion. And now I'm going to sound like a fucking radio DJ every time I do. I'm going to do their job better than they do.
I was going to say, you're going to, and to bring everything full circle, you're going to start puking again. And you're going to be like, go to twitch.tv/the.
So if you'd like to do some interactive songwriting with Shim, the former singer of Sick Puppies, that's how relevant the band is now. I can't even remember how to pronounce the goddamn name.
That's a perfect way to...
Go to twitch.tv/ No, I put the pause in the wrong place. Go to twitch.tv/
You just screwed it up.
No, go to twitch.tv/ No, go to twitch.tv/the Hollywood Rebellion. There you go.
The Hollywood Rebellion. That's a perfect way to wrap up this episode of the podcast. I want to give the shout outs to our supporters again really quick. We've got Taryn Weiniger and Victoria Kellerman.
Vic.
If you guys want, if anybody else out there
Taryn and Vic
would like to be a supporter, just go to anchor.fm/Rockstar101. And you'll be able to find the support button on there, and you can become a supporter of the podcast. We much appreciate it. We'll give you guys shout outs on here. If you're listening to this podcast, you can't see Shim. He's getting all into the
That's
pause
what you did. That's what you did though. Pause. Rockstar 101.
Rockstar 101.
If for easy listening, it's a head tilt. For Rockstar 101, it's like in your face.
So hit him up over on Twitter. It's at Shimmore, SHIMMOORE. You can find him over on his Facebook page. And as we were just saying, twitch.tv/the Hollywood Rebellion. You can find me over on Instagram or Reddit as well. It is at The Real Brandalorian. You can find me on either one of those. If you ever have a topic, a question, or maybe there's something we talked about, you want us to get a little bit more in depth on it, go ahead and shoot us a question. We are going to be getting to a whole episode dedicated to tripolar coming up. So if you have any questions on that, start feeding those things in. And we're also going to start live streaming on Twitch soon. We're not quite sure when, but soon. So just stay tuned.
Yes.
On that note, do you want to do the pause really quick?
Okay.
You said you wanted to try this out.
Okay, wait.
Do you want to try the easy 93 point? Okay, listen to me. You mimic me. Are you ready?
Okay, ready.
Okay. It's easy 93.1.
Easy 93.1.
Nope. See, you're putting the pause in the wrong spot.
No, they put the pause.
Easy.
Okay, wait. So
you want to put the pause after easy, so it's
easy.
Easy. 93.1.
Easy 93.1. No, wait.
Okay, nope.
Okay.
That's not it. You're putting the pause after the 3. You want the pause after the easy part, right
Pause
before the
after
90.
the 3.
No. You want to put it after
The 3.
the easy part.
Oh.
Yeah, this is how easy it is.
Okay.
But you're doing it wrong. So listen to me closely. Okay. Ready? Here we go. It's easy 93.1.
Easy 93.1. Yeah.
Nope,
like that?
nope. I'm telling you,
Easy.
you're close.
Easy.
You're getting better.
Okay.
It's close. It's right after easy. It's not in the middle of easy. It's right after. It's okay. Ready? Here we go. Easy 93.1.
Easy 93.1. Right?
Almost. You're almost there.
Okay.
Listen. Okay. I'm going to say the pause this time. Are you
Okay.
ready? It's easy pause 93.1.
Easy pause 93.1. That's
See,
it.
now just take out the pause. It's easy 93.1.
Easy 93.1.
Well, nope. See, now it's not easy. You're not excited about it. Remember, it's an easy listening station. It's easy 93.1.
Easy 93.1.
Nope. See, it's not easy. It's not the letter E and the letter Z. It's easy listening. It's easy listening station. It's easy.
Okay.
93.1.
Easy 93.1.
Okay, I like the fire. I like the sensuality, but we're not trying to tongue fuck everybody. So let's just bring that back a little bit. Easy 93.1.
Easy 93.1.
And that's kind of how it went down. So on that note, everybody, you know what? Here's a thing that for everybody to do, if you're on Instagram or if you're on Twitter, record yourselves doing that. Record yourselves doing easy 93.1 with the pause. And make sure to tag us. You can tag me. It's at The Real Brandalorian over on Instagram, or you can tag at Shim. Tag us both, please. And put a hashtag Rockstar101 on that for us. So on that note, his name is Shim. He is the Rockstar.
His name is Brandon. He is the DJ.
Class dismissed.